Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, and we had a positive day in the market. The Russell was up 2.5%. That's the small caps. The Dow Jones was up close to 2%. The S&P was up a little bit more than 2%, and the Nasdaq was up close to 2.4%. Big move today by a very big company already, Tesla, up 7%. Other positions that we like to watch in the green, and Corweave, its run continues. Corweave up another 20% today. Yes, I am feeling some envy, but um, I am hoping some of our plays end up following in the footsteps of Corweave, at least rhyming with the movements that CoreWeave has made so far, perhaps not equating in magnitude necessarily. Gold is up. It is at 3,300. Bitcoin is flirting with 110,000. Doge is at 22 cents. Now, the topic of today is time is running out to get your full position in Tesla, whatever that full position is for you. For me, a full position means 300 shares. And that is what I am trying to get our PIF members, our PIF portfolio to. Personally, I have that and more, but I'd like to get our PIF portfolio to that level before time runs out. Now, looking globally, no one wants bonds. It started with Japan, and we're seeing the UK, Germany, and even the yields on US bonds are spiking. No one wants these things. Fiat currency is being inflated with no end in sight. And that means people are looking for alternatives to store and preserve their purchasing power, which is good for a lot of the things that we are invested in. Not so good. Inflation is creeping back up. If you look at Trueflation, it is not mincing its words. The signal that it's giving us is that we're probably going to get a hotter than expected reading on CPI this summer. So, heads up, that is coming. It's possible that the rate cut is postponed to even further than previously thought, which right now the odds are putting it at September. That being said, I don't think we're at any risk of a rate hike. The next move for the Fed will be a cut. I strongly believe that. And therefore, this just gives us a different timeline, but doesn't really change our strategy. And speaking of inflation and prices, we did get the first drop in 2 years on the average house price, which, I mean, it was bound to happen. Housing was getting out of control. And perhaps we see a lot more of that in the future readings. On the positive note, we did get a bounce in consumer confidence. So it does seem like people have a more bullish outlook on the economy. And it was actually the biggest bounce in consumer confidence as measured by the Consumer Confidence Index, the biggest bounce that we got in 4 years. So that is pretty noteworthy, and perhaps will reflect itself in financial conditions so that even if we don't get a cut necessarily, the earnings for companies will be healthy enough, growth will be healthy enough that risk assets do well regardless. And there is a lot of dry powder sitting on the sidelines. If you look at the money market funds, they are now holding close to $7.2 trillion in purchasing power. And so that money is waiting for a signal to transition into risk assets. And this gives the potential for risk assets um, a really good upside. So, this is something to keep an eye on for sure. And as I mentioned, people don't want bonds. So, this money is more likely to go into equities than it is into bonds. And Tesla is getting ready to run. Certainly, if you look at the chart, it appears that way. That being said, we don't put as much weight on charts as we do on fundamentals here at PIF. And when you look at the fundamentals, they are pointing bullish. Tesla is now confirming that it plans on using Optimus robots in its factories by end of year, employing these robots in their factories by end of year. That should bring the cost of goods sold down, but it should also provide proof of concept for what I believe will be their biggest product ever, and perhaps the biggest product ever, period, not just for Tesla, and that is the Optimus robots or humanoid robots more generally. And full self driving, the experiment will start next month in Austin. Four more sleeps, and we're in June, and that's when we'll get the first hands on experience with full self driving. And if it works out, the rollout for full self driving could be quite rapid. As I've mentioned before, Tesla already has distribution, it already has millions of cars on the road, it already has millions of people who have downloaded their app, and it's just a matter of a software update before those cars become connected and are able to do driverless um, pickups and deliveries. And so this thing could really move very quickly. And that's why I'm saying I do believe time is running out for people to establish a full position in Tesla. 5 days until June. And then we shall see. I'm sure there'll be hiccups along the way. And those will probably be great buying opportunities. But the wait is over. We've been waiting for years for this moment when RoboTaxi, at least in terms of proof of concept, hits the road, and that is scheduled for June. So exciting times ahead. With that being said, let us go to questions. Derek, how do fundamentals justify the current price? Well, I would highly advise, I'm assuming you're talking about Tesla, I would highly advise checking out my last live where I go over a comparison of Tesla's full self driving and other competitors and how Tesla is basically in a league of its own. And if you look at the total addressable market for full self driving in the United States alone, that is estimated to be around $1 trillion annually. If Tesla manages to capture the lion's share of that market, well, you do the math on that. Hamid says, Salam, brother Akan. I hope you're doing well based on current market. If you have to analyze the miners, they're not moving that much. Well, you have to define moving that much. If you're looking at, something like a, let's look at Bitdeer, for example. If you look at the last month, it's up 50%. So I would say that's moving a lot. You have to, you know, not every day can be a plus 10% day. Salamat Rashad, nice to see you. Hamid says, I made a mistake and bought 70% of my portfolio into Tesla due to DCA and been stuck with them, and my buy price is below our buy price. Do you think it is a good idea to sell all and re enter? No, I don't think it is a good idea to sell all and re enter. That being said, it's not financial advice, but now's the time, I believe, to buy. Giksa. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. I've been following your channel for about a month now. Great job. I appreciate your insight. I would like to know, what do you think about ASML? It's actually um, a good company that I have a small position in. So I think that ASML will do quite well for the foreseeable future. Has a moat unlike any I've seen. So yeah, solid company. Where do you expect Tesla stock price to be in 2030 and 2034? Well, I did mention the 300 full position target for our PIF portfolio, and that is because I believe that by 2030, Tesla will be at least $3,000 or $4,000 a share, and that so 300 shares gets you to a million. One of the goals of PIF is to get 1,000 halal conscious investors to $1 million in their portfolios. So that would create basically $1 billion in value, and so that's one of the ways to get there. So yeah, it's my pleasure, Zeki. Thanks for tuning in, and do leave a like if you enjoyed this live. Become a PIF member if you haven't already. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.